Now, I saw this weekend R. Kelly's, whatever it was about surviving R. Kelly. And that was something that was very, very interesting to watch. What was real interesting about it was that R. Kelly is a male. And as I've been telling people, and I'll keep saying it, a male is a sexual predator. Now, some males can conform to the societal norms and live by the rules and the laws of the land, so to speak. But there are a lot of people who don't do that or can't do that or whatever. So, again, when I speak, I'm talking about just being honest. And some of the things I say, I look at in the context of this, it being nature or a natural response. So when I look at a case like R. Kelly, I have to look at that from the standpoint of being a male. And now take into consideration, as I said, from a natural standpoint, let's not look at a law. Let's not look at any morality. Let's not look at us being intellectuals. We're talking nature here. And we have people, and people are people, so you're going to be dealing with nature on many occasions. So you take a guy like R. Kelly, and or any male, and again, the context is nature. I think that the male would gravitate towards, as a matter of fact, I know he would gravitate towards youth. And remember, at one time in a country like America, there was marriage at the tender age of 13, 14. And so we as humans have developed and progressed, but that doesn't mean that we have done that from a physical or natural standpoint. And so there are still going to be plenty of people who seek to have sexual encounters with young people. And so, again, in terms of nature, I think that if in a community, in a society, I think that most males would gravitate towards a younger female. And if it were up to a male from a natural standpoint, you wouldn't ever hear any objections to a 14-year-old giving them a blowjob. No, it would probably be some female who would say that the male is exploiting that female, and from that would come laws to how old or whatever. But I honestly think that if you cut out the lights and you had a male stimulated orally, and you never tell him what age, all he would say is that he loved it. And you could put any age. As a matter of fact, everything being equal, you could put a male in there, and don't necessarily tell a straight male, and a male could give him a blowjob. I loved it, right? He's just looking for the hype of it. He's just looking for the fucking ejaculation. He's a male, right? So that's the first thing that anybody should understand. And a female, you would be very, very wise to understand that first. right? Because it may be a guy, oh, he's cute. I could think that he could possibly be somebody I would date. That's good. But the first thing to think about is this motherfucker here is a sexual predator, right? He may like me, but if I got a younger daughter, for instance, at home, when he sees my younger daughter, the first thing that'll pop to his head, if she's a fine little young thing, oh God, I would love to screw her. Now again, he may be the type of guy who is able to suppress that and follow the norms of the society. But he would be lying if he said that he did not have an attraction towards a young girl. He'd be telling a lie. Now again, it should be expected that would be what it is. But the idea is that, again, the intellectual or the person who understands what's happening in terms of a society would understand that that's basically something that you would not do because of the rules and laws, which is your morality, right? Otherwise, left to your nature, you would be lying to yourself if you looked at, to be honest, which is why I guess they say they used to do it and still do it. Some people marry their cousins or whatever. They say sometimes to keep it in the family blood. Most of the time, motherfucker just horny and look at his cousin and say, "Wow, she's fine," and just go with the physical instead of even thinking, "Oh, that's my cousin," you know. So it's the thinking pattern that you have to go through. But if you go on your very nature, with all due respect to the male gender, I mean, I've had guys tell me. You should hear some of my military stories. But I've had guys tell me they fucked sheeps, they fucked horses, which is the terminology they use. I fucked a sheep, I fucked a horse, right? So, I mean, so it's like me thinking and hearing this, and they being straight up serious. My understanding says, look, I know the male nature. I don't know the female nature other than from experience, but from a natural, I don't know the female nature. I'm not a female. But I know the male nature. And then hearing, of course, other males' experience that brings it out, I understand that a male's a sexual predator. So if a male would fuck a sheep or a horse, a female of any age would be a step up for him. So some males, the ones that would screw a sheep or a horse, are not going to follow most of your norms. So again, if you put them probably with like a 5-year-old, again, just in terms of nature, they got no rules to go by, no laws, no judgments, none of that. Screwing a 5-year-old would not be something that they would say, I'm going to rule that out. Because males are sexual predators. I don't give a fuck if it's R. Kelly, and I'm not, going to say anybody's name. Your next door neighbor, me, you. A male is a sexual predator. But again, most males can suppress that when it's appropriate. Oh, I'm married, so therefore I would not hump that girl over there, even though she's got some nice tits over there, and that is turning me on because her cleavage is out. Huh? That's what goes through a male's mind unless the motherfucker lying to you. Every girl that motherfucker see that's halfway hot, he's thinking about fucking her. That's just the way our minds are made up. If you really are a male. And most of the time, most males don't fuck a female because she is not agreeable. Otherwise, the male's nature is, yes, I would do it. This is why so many females do not trust their husband around certain females. Right? There are certain females that other females will say, oh no, I wouldn't trust her around my husband. Because they know probably it could even be the way she looks. She could be very attractive in certain ways. She could be flirtatious. But the bottom line is, I don't want the bitch around my husband. I know why she would entice him. Right? And they understand that the male's nature, and they're smart to understand it, that the male's nature is, but again, he is going on his nature. His wife, he's going on his nature as well. But he's in this society has socialized with his wife and maybe even have kids with his wife. So he's developed an affection and a love for his wife. Whereas that bitch in the room that entices him, it's just his physical nature that just, wants to go bang, bang, bang. And his wife understands that. The smart one or his girlfriend understands that. Because the male is a sexual predator in any species. If it's a lion, a tiger, a bear, the first thing he thinks when he sees, or in some cases smells, a female, I got to have it. It has nothing to do with anything else except my nature. And of course, we are human beings, as I said, so we have, societal rules, laws, norms that we go by. And most people abide by those. But just left to nature, every man is R. Kelly. And if he says he's not, he's lying. Now, he may not go through some of the mind control tactics, and some of the I guess they would even say, taking someone and taking their freedoms away against their will, if that's what they say he's doing. But any male who says that he would not like a lot of young, hot-looking females around him, where at any point in time he could have any one of them give him a blowjob, or he could take one in the back and screw her, he's freaking lying to you. Which male would not like that? Now, he wouldn't like it, again, if he's married and his wife could find out, destroy his career, his kids, get a divorce, blah, blah. No, of course he wouldn't like that. In this society, right? No, he wouldn't like that. He wouldn't like it, if he happened to be a pastor and his congregation found out, oh shit, he committed adultery, or if he wasn't married, he fornicated. And of course, you wouldn't want all of that shit. But just left to nature, any male would want anything that stimulates his penis, and then even better leads to ejaculation. And the sooner a female understands that, the sooner she'll understand where she has to start even with the male. And the prostitute understands that. A male is a sexual fucking predator. And it's nothing that I'm saying that I'm trying to be negative. I'm just being, like I said, truthful, because so many people, which I guess you understand it and you do it and you jump on the bandwagon, to knock somebody like R. Kelly upside the head. And again, with the societal norms that we have, hey, bro, they got to knock you upside your head. It's what it is. But again, left to nature, that's why you have so many people who are colluding with him in terms of what he's been doing, as they allege. Because they understand that, look, this that he's doing is natural. We don't see, of course, the fact that, he's doing something that is illegal so much, because we think that the females are choosing to do this. And I don't know if they are or not. All I'm saying is that from the female standpoint, it could get, I'm sure, kind of cliquish, once you get in there and you see other people doing it. I guess like prison, you see people doing different things. You say, hey, when in Rome, I'm going to do as the Romans do. So it may be, a case of that. Of course, the groupie type of thing. Here's a situation where even if because your mind is young, and so but older women did it too. So it's just a matter of the stableness of your mind. So you see that no matter what, you be able to have sex with R. Kelly. Some females, even though they're being exploited, they still feel like, hey, I still, just to be with R. Kelly, I would do it. And so you see that R. Kelly had plenty of women willing to do whatever, because it's just a matter of desire. And so when desire meets desire, you've got you've got a win-win. And so there are going to be people who are going to allow people like R. Kelly to exploit them in terms of the natural of it. A 14-year-old girl, when she was allowed when the society allowed a male to marry a 14-year-old girl, um, she looked up to him, and as a husband, she was younger than he was. However, the relationship was, and it just went on like that. So I don't doubt that there are some 14-year-olds who have looked up to him, and then I'm sure they would be creating, a tighter and tighter bond the more he has sex with a 14-year-old, even as she develops 15, 16. Remember, he's controlling her and the only one that's around her and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, however it works in his scheme of things, is what it is. But my point is, any male who could be in R. Kelly's shoes, again, take away the law, take away people judging you, take away your intellect, take away everything except your nature. And every male is R. Kelly, is what I'm telling you. Some males will object, but every male in general is R. Kelly in terms of how he would like to control his sexual, and as you saying this, I'm thinking back now of what they were saying, the girls, about R. Kelly. He was ultra to where they were saying, even in terms of his sexual encounters with them, he was literally telling them every single thing to do. So, every male would love, not that they would get that detailed with it, but every male would love to be in control of his sexual gratification. In other words, that you could be able to have a female do whatever you want to you sexually whenever you want. That's every man's dream. And if he denies that, he's telling a goddamn lie. And I would get away from him if he denies that. Now, I bet you, now this is an assumption, that left to the very nature that a female would be the same way. But I can't guarantee it from a natural standpoint, because I'm not a female. Now, from an empirical standpoint, I would say that I would be very strong in my assumption that a female, flip the script, would be kind of the same. Except I say that a male, in terms of his predatory type of a prowess, he is more apt to be the initiator. And so that to me makes him more sexually aggressive. So that's very important, especially nowadays, to come into the thing thinking that the male is a sexual predator. I don't care if it's R. Kelly, again, your neighbor, the teacher, your pastor, but you talk to people, and your experience allows you to discern if the person is able to suppress their nature and abide by societal rules and laws and norms. Because every male in every species is a sexual predator. And as I was saying in another video, most men will admit that they have a sexual predatory nature, which is why I talked about it at length and submit to you that a gay male, also being a predator, is responsible for turning young males who would have otherwise been normal, as we say, or heterosexual. The gay male predator turns him out and turns him into a gay person. Just the same as a sexual predator male who's heterosexual, his desire is young, if he's honest. If he goes after a 13-year-old female, the sexual predator gay male goes after the 13 or 12-year-old or whatever male before he's ever made to be developed as a man. But when this male subjects him to his predator skill, that young male in the thinking that we have in this society becomes a female in his psychology, right? So it's dangerous when you so to speak legalize all of the gayness for that reason, if nothing else. And you can call it whatever. I'm talking about from nature. And people, you can say whatever, but when you look at the male being a sexual predator, again, if I'm gay, I don't think that I'm going to look at a 40-year-old male the same way. I mean, from a physical standpoint now, strictly physical. Now, if I want to talk some university shit or whatever, then yeah, we the 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds may get together, but a 40-year-old, I'm telling you, he's not going to look at another 40-year-old and another another person that is 15 or 16. I'm telling you, if you're honest, you're not going to look at them the same way. You're not from a sexual and a physical standpoint, if you're honest. Again, your thinking may overcome all of that, but from a physical standpoint, you're going to see yourself gravitate towards that youth. And so, me personally, I would not think about the male sexual nature as the main driver of his behavior. Now, again, I'm not trying to be offensive to anyone, and I say what I say with all due respect to the male gender, but in all honesty, if you would just look at any other species, of animal, and we're animal, we just have higher level of thought, right? But if you look at any other animal, just look at what the male does. Put a male out there amongst dogs. What do? They go smelling around, right? And just waiting to smell the first female who's in heat that'll let him mount her, right? And that's all he wants to do is just get on that hump. Oh God, it feels so good, ejaculating, then boom, I'm out of here, right? And that's what a male human would do left to his nature. He wouldn't, of course, we got it set up where, oh, now you got to take care of your kid, and you don't take care of your kid, we're going to give you child support. And all. We're thinking people. But just left to our very nature, and I think we even saw this in play maybe in the 20th century among certain cultures, right? Just was, hey, man, I'm not down with like no real commitments and all this stuff like you do, like, developed people or whatever. No, I'm down, man. I just want to like, boom. I just want to have like a feeling or whatever. And of course, if I have kids, yeah, that's nice. But I don't want to, I'm not getting attached to that. I'm roaming. I'm over here. I'm over, you know what I'm saying? And so that's real nature. And I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying what's real. I advocate, of course, if you like what a normal damn motherfucker would advocate. You got kids, you take care of your kids and all this shit. You married, you're supposed to stay with that vow and all of that. But we're talking about nature, right? So a male sometimes, or male or female, sometimes they're in a relationship, married and all that, but they allow their nature, they go with their nature to go off screwing with someone else, right? Now they know all of the stuff, they made the vow, they even sometimes have kids, they have like careers that they risk and all. Sometimes it's pastors. They could risk a big church, all of this, but their nature. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it's with a younger female. Sometimes it turns out that the pastor or something like that, he still risked his nature, which was a homo, risk his whole big church. People's nature, man, is what you have to really go on. We would love to think that, everything is just, I guess, hunky dory where everything works out and people are good but man, go with the nature. If you have a male around you, um, you're not going to necessarily think that the person is bad, but you're going to know his nature. And until you really get to know this person's patterns of behavior, you want to make sure you understand that before you commit and what have you. Because anybody can front. But the bottom line is, when we look at, and I was commenting on this because I had watched the little movie or whatever you want to call it about surviving R. Kelly. And again, I don't ever defend R. Kelly or anybody who does that, but I know what you're doing it based on. You're doing it based on you got power and on your nature. And what I'm saying is, if I had it to do like you, and like, I probably wouldn't get married. But if I had it to do like him, to where, and this is another video, but to talk about the power of music and people who also from their music become omnipotent in our society. If I had that same option, I probably would have did the same thing. I think that I would have thought somewhat about sexual diseases and stuff like that, just because I've always thought about that, man, when I, just in a normal, I guess, lifestyle, without being access to every woman, but having access to, I guess, some that you would have access to like anybody would. That's one of the things I always thought about was STDs. And that was before AIDS was even prevalent. But anyway, it really pays for a person to think about what motivates. So R. Kelly had control over people to have sex with him. Over people who could potentially he could have sex with. And so he had pretty girls around him that was down to do whatever. And every male, you would be lying if you say that you wouldn't want that. So I don't fault R. Kelly for his nature. It's just that you can't do that in this society. And one of the main things too is that people, even though they would do the same thing, since they're not in a position to do it, they object, and object strong. Because you got a lot of males, oh, R. Kelly's a pig, R. Kelly's a pig. To me, you are a pig if you pee on somebody. I mean, because I'm not there to where I would like, oh, wow, I'm really getting jollies peeing on somebody. But again, everybody has their thing that turns them on. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's kind of, and I would think, that the average female would not allow that. They said the young girl was like 14, so that is a sense of taking advantage of somebody. Although, and I'm not defending what he did, but I do feel like that he would find some older, consensual women that would allow him to do anything he wants or wanted to be with him. Because that's been proven already. It's been proven for people that would kill themselves based on what somebody can lead them into. So someone just peeing in their mouth would be just a small feat. But again, I don't defend what he did, but I'm sure he's done more crazy things based on what I'm heard, finding out about his patterns. If this TV stuff is even near true, I'm sure he's done so many crazy things on tape to people, to women. I don't know about people, but to women and girls. But I don't defend them. I'm just always honest and saying, look, man, how in the hell could any male not say, look, I wouldn't want to go in this room over here and get me a blowjob? You fucking lying, man. I wouldn't want to have these two women, like they said, bent over. I'm rubbing on their booties as I'm composing my song. And the bottom line comes down to a lot of times looking at it and saying, you know what, um, especially once a person is of age, if someone is and this is the way I always put it, if someone is stupid enough to do stupid shit, man, then they usually are going to get what's coming to them. Now, the females, of course, they're thinking like most females. I could be in a video. This is how I start off. I could get my foot in the door and blah, blah. I don't know. But they're willing to shake their ass and show their ass and do whatever in the video because they're trying to do whatever with their careers. And I don't blame them for that. Some people are willing to do anything so that they could get on, TV and people could see them or whatever. And I mean, that's their thing. And, some people draw the line. You know what I'm saying? They say, well, yeah, I do. Like, I forget who, I think it was Jay-Z. He said, it clicked, but that about it, whatever it was. So that's kind of that thing. I might do this, but that about, you draw the lines. But I think, and I'm not blasting females, man, so don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you, I think that with the society that we have, especially before this Me Too, and now the females think that they have more of a voice with the Me Too, and they are outing some dudes, but I think it's going to go back to that because it's just nature for people to exploit people based on what they can. So when I look at how it used to work before the Me Too, especially, as I was going to say, I think that females go into certain endeavors knowing that, hey, I know I'm going to have to give up some ass. But again, it's only so far that I'm going to go. And I'm hoping that, the guy that I got to give the ass up to, at least I'm kind of attracted to. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that a female thinks that she lands a big, and I don't think it'll ever change too much. I don't think that, and I think it's the same way a lot of times for a male maybe. But I don't think that a female thinks that she lands a big gig or a big partner play, if it's a male director who is controlling who gets what. And especially if he's single. I don't think that any female goes into it thinking that she's not going to have to give up some ass. Now, again, things have changed quite a bit. But what it would be great if everything were on their merits. But most things are not on their merits. And so when you talk about a decision having to be made, what is the basis of the decision? If you're sitting there as the person, let's say, for instance, you got a part for a female in a big movie, and it calls for a female that's attractive, and there's a slew of women that's trying to get the part. How do you make a decision? There's going to be some females that want that part that comes into it in a flirtatious, salacious type of way. You may not choose that person, but there's people that's going to come into it like that. There are people who are not going to come into it like that. The directing person or whatever might see and say, if she would get into it like that, that might be who I choose. Because he might look at them and say, well, they all can act good. So I could choose any one of them. Now let me see what would really make me select one of them. Right? So there has to be a way that you choose them. And one of the ways may be, based on a favor or something like that, in terms of a sexual favor. Anyway, I ramble as I do. So I did want to ramble about the R. Kelly thing, because I really do feel like, and it ain't like the brother getting, the short end of the stick. I'm not saying that, but I did want to comment because people are acting like what he's doing or what he did was out of male character, and it's not. That's all. The only point I'm making is what he did is not out of male character. Now, the pen, I didn't see it. I don't know how he did it or whatever, but however way you do that, I don't know if that's about sexual gratification or a control thing or whatever, because who the fuck's into that kind of shit? Although I have heard, to be honest, about people talking about golden showers, but I was thinking, and I'm not sure that the female in the golden showers, the female pees on the dude. You know, again, I ain't playing no shit like that, so I don't really. I seem like I read that somewhere, and I did hear about golden showers. And in passing, somebody may have told me about that, but I thought that they said that that's when the dude gets off from the female peeing on him or whatever. But anyway, it's all nature, and people do crazy things, you know. But what R. Kelly did, I'm just saying it's not crazy. It's really not out of the ordinary any whatsoever when you talk about control, a male with control. If you look at when a president's in control, you start seeing that we already know some of our presidents, right? What they do? Took advantage of someone that was younger than them, that was looking up to him and all. Hey, you know what? What did he say? Just like I told you a male would do. And y'all know which president I'm talking about. What did he think? That little college intern looking up at him like that, mouth all open and all. First thing he thought is, God damn, boy, I can't wait to put my dick in her mouth. Right? And people thinking I'm being lewd or whatever, you know, or vulgar. I'm telling you what's straight up, and I didn't even think about that. I'm just pulling that back around. You, if you know the picture, you see the young college intern looking like, oh, I am in just so much awe of him. And then after you know what ultimately happened, as I said, his mind as a man was saying, first chance I get, man, I'm gonna get her to give me a blowjob. Again, that's his nature, right? So the only thing that would have stopped him is if she would have said, "Oh, whoa, now," and I ain't going for this. Otherwise, he's saying, "My nature, I got the power. I'm gonna test it and see what's what." So in the office, I pull it out, boom, boom, boom. It all works good, and I'm sure he's done that to a bunch of people they didn't tell, because he had power. And that's just the way it is. Most males, if you see them, I don't care if you're the president of Venezuela. I don't care if you happen to be the president that's in charge of, or the CEO that's in charge of a major record company. You got a bunch of people trying to do deals, get deals and all. You're going to exploit women sexually if you're a male. And females, I'm sure, are exploiting males. That's like in the circle of things. But anyway, I don't know. I think R. Kelly, if this thing blows up, he's done some things according to man that's going to be illegal. And I think people won't be satisfied until they lock you up, man. So it's January 7th, 2019. We'll see what happens from here.